April decline. President Clinton now in Milwaukee stumping for his budget, welcomed by the mayor and congressional officials today. After a speech this afternoon, he'll make a walking tour of the city's south side, a working-class area. General Motors is recalling nearly 12,000 new model Cadillac Seville touring sedans, Sport Coupes, and Eldorado touring coupes to check for a possible problem with the fuel systems. Ford is making driver and passenger airbags standard on 13 of 17 of its car lines, beginning with the new models coming out this fall. Authorities in Wichita suspect a group of 9 kids ranging in age from 7 to 10 vandalized a kinder care learning center last weekend. 3 of the suspects once attended the center, where Colleen Barnes is in charge.
They marked on the walls, they turned some tables over, they did something, but to walk in to what is in there is what was amazing. I mean, it's totally destroyed, and it was pretty scary. And then, you have to tell yourself, this is just kids. It's, we can fix it.
The kids were arrested, then released to the custody of their parents in Wichita. Mickey Mouse, the monthly comic book, is back in China after a 4-year absence. First of a series of publications the Disney company is producing with Chinese partners. You're listening to ABC News.
You know that roll of film you've been meaning to develop? Well, now's the time. Bring it down to the photo finishing department at Kmart. Because right now, we'll develop any roll of 24 or 36 exposure film and give you back beautiful 3-inch single prints for just $2.49. Imagine, just $2.49 for memories that'll last a lifetime. Unfortunately, this offer won't. In fact, it's only good through Saturday. Kmart, the quality you need, the low price you want.
The world's most famous name in aspirin is fast becoming famous in non-aspirin pain relief too, because now there's Bayer Select. 5 completely different aspirin-free products for 5 different kinds of pain. Sinus pain, headache, nighttime pain, menstrual and minor arthritis pain. They're Bayer products, but they're not aspirin. They're Bayer Select. Exactly what's right for exactly what's wrong.
What the hell,
Use only as directed.
The Supreme Court ruling in a case from Florida decides that people prosecuted in federal courts for trading guns for drugs may be sentenced to an extra 30 years in prison for the use of the weapons. The Supreme Court decides that TV game show personality Vanna White can sue Samsung Electronics over an ad that showed a glamorous robot ready to turn a letter as she does on the show Wheel of Fortune. Samsung said it has the right under the First Amendment to use the parody of Vanna White in its ads. Russia's vice president now taking more verbal potshot at his boss. ABC's Jennifer Glass adds to the story from Moscow.
The vice president accused Yeltsin of being manipulated by Western forces and said that's why Russia's economy is in such bad shape. He also said the president is advocating a dictatorship by trying to adopt a constitution that would give the president more power.
Boris Yeltsin expects the Constitutional Assembly that convenes this weekend to need only a week and a half to draft a new constitution. Based on an outline that he has provided, the document gives the president of Russia more power and replaces the parliament with a one-house legislature. Decision day for the Defense Base Closure and Realignment Commission, now making its list of military facilities it'll recommend for closing. The panel's final report to President Clinton is due in a month. He then has 45 days to send the list to Congress or reject it. Wall Street, Dow Jones Industrials up 13.54 at 35.40. This is ABC News.
Friends, this is James Whitmore, and I want to talk to you about that lawn of yours. You know, you work all spring to keep it lush and beautiful, and then summer comes and it starts to fade away. Well, that doesn't have to happen to you now, because you can keep that springtime green all summer long with Miracle Grow Lawn Food. Just pour Miracle Grow Lawn Food into your no-clog feeder for a midsummer pick-me-up. You'll notice a beautiful difference in just a few days. Your lawn will be greener and healthier all summer long with Miracle Grow Lawn Food.
For the ABC Information Network, I'm Gary Nunn.
Hey, what's this?
A U.S. savings bond.
Jack, I told you to get me a bail bond.
I know, but a savings bond is a much better investment.
Jack, I want to get out of jail.
Okay, but look, you're guilty.
I'm not.
They'll only put you back in again.
I'm innocent.
And besides, the rate on this bond is so good that it'll be worth a lot more than its face value by the time you get out.
By the time I get out?
Yeah.
Jack, you're my lawyer.
I know.
It's a clear case of mistaken identity. You're supposed to get me out of this mess. I mean, they didn't even give me my phone call.
You got your phone call.
What?
I used it to call 1-800-US-BONDS.
For what?
The current rate.
still a chance of a lingering shower or thunderstorm out there this morning, even though there will be some sunshine showing up as temperatures warm up to about 75 or 80. The atmosphere is still a little bit unstable, and especially the farther east you get, the better your shot at still getting a thunderstorm. Later today, partly cloudy, the humidity dropping, and highs no more than 80 or 82. Partly cloudy to mostly clear tonight, lows in the mid-50s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, highs 75 to 80. I'm Bill Schmidt at the Weather Center.
This is Rush Limbaugh on the Talk of the Town, 1150 WGBR. It's time for the Rush Limbaugh program, the hottest program on radio in America today. We're coming to you from the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies, high atop the EIB building. You're welcome. Stay with us and enjoy broadcasting at its finest.
This is a special edition of the Rush Limbaugh program, America Held Hostage. And now, from our studios in New York City, here is Rush Limbaugh.
Thank you, Johnny Donovan. Day 133 of the raw deal, the Clinton presidency. We are all in a chokehold, nearly a sleeper hold, as the president continues face-saving surface issues to continue to cloud and fool American people as to his real intentions. Hey, by the way, make a note for me. Remind me this when we get over to TV this afternoon. I'm being deluged with requests on CompuServe from people for tickets to the TV show. Now, this amazes me. People called the number that we gave out long ago for tickets to TV show. Sorry, we don't have any for the rest of the season. They write me. Rush, I figure I have some pull. I don't have any pull. I have nothing to do with tickets to the show. This kind of made me mad. Rush, we've been trying to get tickets to your show, and they keep telling us you're sold out. But we think that you pick your audience every day. Because look at the way your audience looks. They all have coats and ties on. They all look very clean and nicely dressed. Well, you get... And I wrote back, be serious. We don't pick the audience a hand. Who's got time to do that? I said, if we have a little note on our ticket that asks people to dress accordingly, we just ask for nice attire. Imagine that. And people respect our request. So let me just say this. My friends, there are a lot of things I would change about the way things happen on this show if I could, but I can't. And one of them is the size of the audience. We have a fire code regulation. If you look, the reason we can't is because Sally Jesse Raphael's studio is bigger and can hold more people. We can't, so we just have a finite number of people we can get in there legally. And we don't have any tickets left for this season. I cannot eat paper and produce tickets for you. And there just aren't any. I wish I could. I wish we could get 5,000. We could. We get 5,000 a night in this show if we had a place to do it. We don't. I'm sorry, it's a problem because, see, when these specific requests come in, I don't have time to answer. I get now 500 CompuServe notes a day, except on holidays where it drops down to 200. And I just don't have. I can't answer every ticket request, even if I set up a macro to do it. So, remind me to say this on the. We need to put up a slide because we don't want to get people's hopes up. You know what? People are starting to camp out in front of the place in case there's a cancellation. They're flying in from California just to camp out in front of the studio. Oh, I appreciate it. I mean, I really do. I'm moved by it, but I can't. There's just nothing I can do. When you're sold out, you're sold out. You could maybe hit scalpers up, but people are not. No, we're not. What do you mean add another? I'm not going to add another show. Just to satisfy the audience demand. I want to read to you from a Wall Street Journal editorial, August 11th, 1992.
August 11th, 1992. There was a time when education reformers had high hopes that Bill Clinton would break free of his party's knee-jerk alliance with the teachers' unions and steer an independent course. In late 1990, Bill Clinton wrote to Polly Williams, the spunky Wisconsin Democratic legislator who pushed through a dramatic voucher program that includes private schools. This is a school choice issue. Here is what Governor Clinton wrote Polly Williams in 1990. Quote, I am fascinated by that proposal. I'm concerned that the traditional Democratic Party establishment has not given you more encouragement. The visionary is rarely embraced by the status quo. Unquote. That was 1990. Bill Clinton expressing, but let's be honest, this is an example of the slick. He didn't endorse the proposal of school choice, but he was fascinated by it. He expressed concern the traditional Democratic Party establishment has not given Polly Williams more encouragement. Well, as we all know now, Bill Clinton is wholly owned by the National Education Association, which is a big teachers union. So today, President Clinton finds himself traveling to Wisconsin. On May 28th, a letter was written to him by Representative Polly Williams of the Wisconsin State Assembly. It reads as follows. As a powerful, influential member of the media, I have a copy. I remember with great pride, Mr. President, the letter I received from you in October of 1990, in which you express your fascination with the Milwaukee Parental Choice Program. And I was very pleased to learn that you'll be visiting Milwaukee on Tuesday, June 1st, 93. During your visit to Milwaukee, I'd be very pleased if you should take a moment to express your support for programs like the Milwaukee Parental Choice Program that enable parents to choose the schools their children attend. Even though you were under tremendous pressure from the status quo to send your child to a public school, you chose to send your daughter to the school of your choice. I commend you for having the courage to exercise your parental responsibility, and I hope that you will support the same parental choice for all Americans. Do you think Clinton will meet with Polly Williams? No. Do you think there will be a discussion of parental? This is what's happened. This is why people bought into this guy. This is right out of the Democratic Leadership Council and their beliefs and their attempt to try to take back the Democratic Party from its liberal wing. And people thought they were getting the real thing. And they're not. They're getting the same old liberalism. And that's why people are so frustrated. If I have time to do this, I do. I'm going to make a stab at this. I had dinner with Thomas Sowell Friday night here in New York before leaving for Florida on Saturday morning. He reiterated once again, let me explain to who he is if you don't know. Thomas Sowell's an economist and a columnist. He's a fellow at the Hoover Institute on the campus of Stanford University in Palo Alto. He's 63 years old and raised in Harlem. He's black. He says proudly that the most fortunate thing to have happened to him was to be born in 1930 and to reach adulthood prior to the formation of the civil rights movement as we know it today in America. He feels he would not have had the chances today that he had then. Imagine. One of his good friends is Walter Williams, a fellow economist and professor at the George Mason University in Washington, D.C. How many of you have been raised to believe or have recently been told, and maybe have heard it for the first time, or recently, maybe the first time as an adult, you never were taught this, the Founding Fathers were racists, that they were slave owners, and that they believed in the inferiority of blacks, and that they believed in the less than human characteristics, qualities, and rights of blacks, and as such are unqualified to have written the founding documents of this country. How many of you have recently had, I wasn't taught that stuff in school. It was not drilled into me that Jefferson and Washington were slave owners. Only recently, during the multicultural tide, has such been said. Walter Williams calls this another liberal lie. Says it isn't true. When expressing admiration for the wisdom of our Constitution's framers, I sometimes encountered derisive responses like, quote, some were slave owners. They made blacks 3/5 of a person. They condoned slavery. Thus, the implied conclusion, we shouldn't respect these dead white guys. Let's evaluate this misinformation that's become a part of the regular curriculum in too many of today's high schools and colleges. Thomas Jefferson's first draft of the Declaration of Independence charged, quote, the King of Britain has waged a cruel war against human nature itself, violating its most sacred rights of life and liberty in the persons of distant people who never offended him, captivating and carrying them into slavery in another hemisphere, unquote. Massachusetts James Otis, 1764, said, quote, the colonists are by law of nature freeborn, as indeed all men are, white or black, unquote. Other founders expressed similar anti-slavery sentiments. Thomas Paine, quote, and when the Almighty shall have blessed us and made us a people, then may our first gratitude be shown by an act of continental legislation which shall put a stop to the importation of Negroes for sale and in time procure their freedom. John Adams, quote, I have through my whole life held the practice of slavery in abhorrence. Benjamin Franklin, quote, slavery is an atrocious debasement of human nature. George Washington, quote, there's not a man living who wishes more sincerely than I do to see a plan adopted for the abolition of slavery. James Madison, quote, Southern laws have degraded slaves from the human rank. It was a barbarous policy. Alexander Hamilton, quote, their, blacks, natural faculties are probably as good as ours. The contempt we have been taught to entertain for the blacks makes us fancy many things that are neither founded in reason or experience. Jefferson did believe blacks were inferior, but said this, quote, whatever may be the degree of talent, it is no measure of their rights. Because Isaac Newton was superior to others in understanding, he is not, therefore, lord of the person or property of others, unquote. In 1787, the framers of the Constitution were faced with a serious dilemma. This is an important paragraph. Listen to this. A choice between union and disunion. Now, I know this is going to upset you people out there who think that slavery had nothing to do with the Civil War. I hear from you all the time. Please give it a rest. I'm not changing my mind on this. We start this paragraph again. In 1787, the framers of the Constitution were faced with a serious dilemma. A choice between union and disunion. Slavery opponents chose union. They felt slavery would continue with or without the Constitution. The question was whether there would be a future for liberty. It was slavery's opponents. It was slavery's opponents who succeeded in restricting the political power of the South by allowing them to count only 3/5 of their slave population in determining the number of congressional representatives. The 3/5 of a vote provision applied only to slaves, not to free blacks in either the North or South. The point is, this was a scheme by the North to disproportionately represent the voting power of the South, which was pro-slavery. It was a way to disable the South from voting in full strength, because they were going to, the slaves had no right to vote. They would be required to vote as their slave owners told them to vote. But by reducing the power of each individual vote to that of 3/5 of the vote, they diluted the total number of votes in the end, and is said by Mr. Williams here to be crucial in the eventual defeat of slavery. Williams goes on to point out how, he says, Williams, you probably say, Williams, I went to high school and college, didn't learn this. How do you know it? And Walter Williams reveals his source, University of Dallas professor Thomas West's article, quote, was the American founding unjust, unquote. It's found in Principles, a publication of the Claremont Institute Salvatore Center in Claremont, California. So, interesting piece. And you might say that, I think it'd be a fair thing to say, okay, fine, these guys all said what they said, but what did they do? And it's because we say that about Clinton. Look at what they do, not what they say. It's somewhat like the argument that rages today were the founding fathers agnostic or atheists. I mean, there are actually people who believe the founding fathers didn't believe in God. They want to make you to believe that. And when you find quotations for them, say, just go to the memorials in Washington, read the inscriptions there on the wall. You can't read one without finding the word God. Well, they didn't believe in God. God had nothing to do with the founding of the country, and so forth and so on. But the whole point, and the reason I bring this up is because there are many attempts to discredit those who were instrumental and key in the founding of this country. And there are continuing efforts to discredit those who make sense. Wow, look at this poor guy in San Diego, Lorne Fleming. He asks a great question. And because one of his ex-wives calls the newspaper and says he didn't pay his taxes, the press jumps all over the guy. Even though it was a great question, to discredit the question based on who asked it, just because it embarrassed their precious president. We'll take a break and be back to your phone calls after this. Don't go away.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
You know, I can't program my own VCR. No, I'm not stupid. In fact, I'm the president of my own company. But 8 out of 10 of us can't program our own VCRs. I'm Michael Bissonette. I founded Voice Power Technology to solve problems just like this. We've developed a VCR remote control that's controlled by your voice. You just speak right into it and your VCR obeys. For instance, if you wanted to record a movie next Monday, you'd say, record Channel 7, Monday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., and your VCR will automatically record Channel 7 that Monday night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's honestly just that simple. Our voice remote works with virtually all brands of VCRs and requires no installation of any kind. Now, anyone that can speak can program their VCR. It's just that simple. Call us now for free information on this incredible breakthrough product. Call 1-800-795-9600. 1-800-795-9600.
Hi, this is Rush Limbaugh. When you speak, people listen. And the words you use tell them about your education, your background, even your intelligence. Verbal Advantage, Achievement Dynamics' powerful vocabulary building course on audio cassette tape gives you the words you need to make your best impression. Carefully chosen power words that will give your vocabulary confidence in any situation. To learn more, call now, 1-800-28-TAPES. That's 1-800-28-TAPES.
So you go into work and your boss says you're late. So you get really mad and pick up a potted plant. And when she comes walking by, you
throw dirt on her new white suit. Well, actually, I put the plant down, count to 10, cool off.
Then you're headed for the express lane at the supermarket when someone darts in front of you with about 84 items. You're so mad you...
I ram him. No, I count to 100. Relax. Study the horoscope books hanging by the register to find out why I'm stuck behind this clown.
Then you go home and your kid starts crying and you're mad already and you want to hit him.
Yeah, and he's my kid.
So you...
Well, I count to 10. Take a deep breath and remember how cute he is when he's asleep.
Right. Give your kid the same kind of respect you give everyone else. Take time out. Don't take it out on your child.
WGBR, we care.
A public service message from the National Committee for Prevention of Child Abuse and the Ad Council.
The Embers for North Carolina.
Whenever people get together around the Tar Heel State, there's a North Carolina style in the way they celebrate. From Murphy to Manio, 60 or a country mile, you find people enjoying the good life. North Carolina style.
You know, nearly 60 million people a year travel in North Carolina. That makes tourism one of our state's largest industries, worth over $6 billion to our economy. I'm Jackie Gore of the Embers. Guests in our state are important to all of us. So when you meet visitors in your hometown, give them a smile and make them feel welcome, North Carolina style.
Put on your best North Carolina smile. Celebrate the good times, North Carolina style.
Sponsored by the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters and 1-800-VISIT-NC.
Always on the right. This is Rush Limbaugh on Goldsboro's very own WGBR. We're back. Going to go to the phones here in just a minute. 800-282-2882 if you'd like to be on this program. Hey, did you notice, I was in Florida over the weekend. I was not in Miami except a couple hours on Sunday, but I was in West Palm Beach from Saturday through late Monday. Flew out of there, got there late last night. And the verdict in the Lozano case came down Friday afternoon in Orlando, I believe it was. And everybody was waiting at the edge of their chairs for whatever violence might erupt in Miami. Of this trial. It was right out of the Rodney King LAPD experience. Except there was a major difference. Nowhere could be found in Miami Maxine Waters or the Reverend Jet. Instead, the leaders in the black community in Florida did, I think, they did not try to stoke any fire down there. They did their best to do just the opposite, I thought. From what I was able to glean, there was an organized effort to try to keep peace, despite what the verdict was. And that was not what was going on in Los Angeles. It was worth noting when it happened. Flo Bianco, do we have? We do. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we have hidden microphones everywhere the president goes. We recently received via diplomatic pouch a courier delivering the latest tapes from those microphones, and here it is.
Now, behind the scenes of the Clinton White House. Today, Bill finds a job for Cousin Gomer.
Surprise, 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 cousin. Come on in, cuz. What can I do for you? Seeing as how you've already reduced unemployment back home, I thought there might be a job here for me.
Oh, sure. I think we can find something for you. Just look over this White House employment list.
Airplane mechanic for Air Force One. That's what I've always wanted to be. Shazam!
Do you know anything about airplanes?
No, but I'd be willing to learn.
We'll start you out on Air Force Two then. Would that be okay?
Golly, I got a job just like that. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Steffi, I want you to fire the chief mechanic over there at Air Force Two. Now, I don't know what for, but listen, I'll think of something. For the time being, make up a story for Dee Dee and get the FBI online too. Thanks.
Next, another long delay at LAX.
Tower, this is Air Force 2. We'll be delayed indefinitely. Got a slight problem with the engine.
As we go behind the scenes at the Clinton White House.
That's how you get a job. You just be a fifth or sixth cousin, even if you only existed on a TV show. Did you see what happened in Madison, Wisconsin yesterday? A bunch of long-haired, maggot-infested dope smokers showed up for their annual pot fest. And it rained, and it rained, and it rained. About 1,000 cars got stuck in the muck at Weedstock 93 in Madison, Wisconsin. And frustrated Latter-day Flower children forgot about giving peace a chance. Fist fights broke out. As the Associated Press here reports it, fistfights broke out among the tie-dyed types as bummed tokers took pokes at one another. Oh, yes. Let's go ahead and legalize it. See if this kind of thing wouldn't happen. We all live in harmony and peace. We'll be back in just a minute. Don't go away.
Would you buy a pair of shoes without trying them on? A car without driving it? Then why buy a vacuum on blind faith? Hi, I'm David Orrick, maker of the 8-pound Orrick XL Hotel Vac. And if you call the factory, 1-800-989-4200, you can try out my legendary Hotel Vac in your home, absolutely free for 15 days with no obligation. The best part is it weighs only 8 pounds, yet it outcleans vacuums weighing 40 pounds. Try before you buy. Call 1-800-989-4200.
This is WGBR News, Goldsboro's very own.
This is Wayne Alley reporting. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel retired Ed Kelly told a Goldsboro Memorial Day audience of 100 people that the administration and its supporters are hacking blindly at the military and the American public to find money for social programs that have failed in the past. Kelly said the result will be a United States that will be a second-class, non-world power destined to a course of failure in future armed conflict.
With the supposed demise of the Soviet Union, the liberal literary and the flaming liberal interests are in full cry for cutting defense spending even further. They forget that those missiles in Russia are still in the ground and still pointed our way. It's hard to build a new nation of one that had the old ideology that we will conquer you. Let us not forget the lessons of history. Nothing is stable in Russia yet, but many in our government think so. 2 weeks ago, they canceled SDI, and they say we would like to defend you Americans, but we don't think we should.
Lieutenant Colonel retired Ed Kelly. In other news today, Mercedes has asked for a proposal from the Global Transpark at Kinston. And Global Transpark board member Henson Barnes is working diligently to determine what can be done to get traffic from the Global Transpark in Kinston to Interstate Highway 95 as quickly as possible. Barnes said the automobile manufacturer needs access to I-95.
It seems by looking at the present transportation improvement program in the state that our best opportunity is to come from the Global Transpark up Highway 70 to Goldsboro, follow a bypass around Goldsboro, and catch US 117 north to Interstate 95 at Wilson. In the long run, we'll have to go to 58, a straight shot from the Global Transpark up to Wilson, but in the short run, the best way to set up a company coming into the Global Transpark is coming up Highway 70 to US 117 and then going north to Interstate 95.
Henson Barnes of the Global Transpark Authority. And that's an update of WGBR News. Stay tuned for the latest Weather Center updates. I'm Wayne Alley reporting for WGBR News.
WGBR 1150.
We are expecting to see a lot of sunshine today, although for some of you it'll be a little bit of a wait. This morning, some cloud cover and also scattered showers and thunderstorms. They'll be ending by around midday. The afternoon, partly cloudy, and it'll be fairly warm. Highs generally in the upper 70s to around 80, but the humidity dropping this afternoon from where it's been this morning. Clear tonight, lows in the mid-50s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, highs 75 to 80. I'm Bill Schmidt at the Weather Center.
1150 WGBR, Eastern Carolina's home for the Rush Limbaugh Show.
A new civilization to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Rush Limbaugh.
Let us return to the phones. We'll start in Atlanta this half hour with Dave. Glad you waited, sir. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Rush, and greetings and dittos from the home of the brave.
Thank you, sir.
Listen, I had 2 points. One of them I have kind of a horrible Machiavellian thought on Thoreau, and I wanted your comments, and that is, as you aware, he's not too high on NAFTA, the North Atlantic Free Trade Agreement.
Yes.
And his recent efforts on television to denigrate that subject.
Mm-hmm.
The thought being, is he out to court the union so he can push ahead with his election?
Well, I don't know. I think it's too soon to tell about that. Still 3.5 years out, whether he's trying to court unions or not. This strange way to do it. He's not doing it with personal contact.
But he certainly would champion their cause, being on that side of it.
Well, maybe, but I suspect that there's no way Mr. Perot personally benefits from this, and that there may be something driving his opposition to it in that regard. Because, in fact, what the North American Free Trade Agreement is not a bad idea.
Exactly.
It's a good idea. It hopefully is going to strengthen a competitor. That's not bad. It's going to strengthen, well, not actually a competitor, but a partner. It would go a long way if it ever got implemented and was allowed to grow without being modified or treated along its way. It could do a lot to eliminate illegal immigration. Get the wage base up in Mexico, among other things, and it would also get the wage base up in America and change. You know, one of the things that Mr. Perot misses here, I think, and I must tell you, I did not see this thing Sunday night, or whenever it was. Was it Sunday night or last night?
No, it was Sunday night, I believe.
Sunday night, yeah, I didn't see that. I didn't watch it, so I don't know specifically what he said, other than he has opposition to it. But the whole notion here in this country that you go out and create jobs is something that it's gotten an identity simply because so many people talk about creating jobs, but that's not, creating jobs is not what happens. It's not how jobs end up being created. It's just saying we're going to create jobs. If you want to create a job, you can do it. You can have the government hire a bunch of people at minimum wage or lower, dig ditches, dig holes, and fill it back up. But you've done nothing there. There's no demand for that job. A job that is not created by demand of an employer for work to be done is a worthless job. It's nothing more than a make-work job, usually created by the government for political purposes only. Milton Friedman has written a piece in the Wall Street Journal today in which he says that the economic problem is not creating jobs. That's easy. The real problem is to establish an economic environment in which there is a demand for workers at wages that those workers not only regard as satisfactory, but are qualified to earn. Better qualified workers and better wages, not simply more jobs, is the real problem, and you need to create wealth for that. And the North American Free Trade Agreement, one of the problems with immigration, unchecked, uncontrolled immigration, and one of the illustrations of this is the Zoe Baird problem. You have people from third world nations or economic third world nations who come in, and to them $1 or $1.50 an hour is big money compared to zero. It's not big money to Americans, and you are allowed to undercut the American wage base if this isn't stopped. And one of the reasons that there's this mass exodus to America is that the wage base in Mexico and other places is simply so much below ours.
And make the point that hundreds of thousands of jobs are going to go flowing to Mexico and put people out of business here. That's where he comes down hard on that. Unfortunately, I think there are short-term difficulties with it, but I think longer-term it's probably the right way to go, and I just think it's unfortunate that he continues to press on that right up to present time.
Well, he can do it. I mean, this is American. He's using his own money.
Absolutely.
One of the things that people are beginning to say now is, so this is the town hall, huh? You go on TV and you tell everybody what you think, but then do you subject yourself to questions, criticism, or debate? Are you doing that, Mr. Perot? He's not doing that. That's
right.
One of the things.
Exactly.
And I think that's something that even his supporters ought to consider. I mean, there's nothing that requires him to do that either. But if he's going to be serious about this, he shouldn't shun from the open opportunity to try to be persuasive in debate. Because if you can do it in a debate, you'd be far more persuasive than just sitting up there as a monologue.
Right. So let me swing back quickly to David Gergen and the Stephanopoulos deal. Comment in the paper indicated that the switch will take Stephanopoulos and let him go into strategy, quote unquote, whatever that's going to be.
He always was. This is nothing new.
Yeah, and Gergen, of course, would handle policy. Now the question is, who's going to come out on top? The strategy is set up, then that becomes the policy.
In other words, who's going to win between Gergen and Stephanopoulos?
Exactly. And I would think that what we've done here is throw a bone to the press by putting Gergen out there, and whether somebody had commented earlier, how long he'll last remains to be seen.
Well, it's interesting that you say this, throw a bone to the press, as opposed to the American people.
Exactly.
Yes, you are a great caller. Let me share with you. I used the wrong word. Let me tell you what was in the New York Times yesterday morning. Did you see it by any chance?
I did not.
You did not? That's even better for you that you didn't see it. Here is the headline to the story by R.W. Apple, Johnny Apple Jr. Now, if you don't remember who this is, Johnny Apple recently took Perot to task on Meet the Press. Johnny Apple asked Perot, "You mean you're going to decide where you build a bridge simply on the basis of is it needed? That's all?" And Perot was, well, of course, what else reason would you build a bridge for? If it's not needed, you don't build it. And Johnny Apple said, "But Mr. Perot, that isn't how government works. You don't build bridges because of where they're needed. You build bridges to get the votes of people in Congress whose votes you need to support your plan." That's the kind of exchange makes Perot look good, by the way, and makes the press look even more distant from reality than Perot is. So R.W. Johnny Apple, that's the guy, and he's got this news analysis in yesterday's New York Times. Here's the headline: "An offering to the wolves. A shuffling of his staff buys time for Clinton." So I'm reading this, and I got a journalism student with me, and I'm suggesting that the wolves here are the press. And the journalism student, no. I said, yes, that's right. They're trying to buy off the press nipping at their heels. This is nothing more, just what you just said. They are throwing a bone to the press here.
Amen.
I want to read you something. I don't have time to read the whole piece. Brilliantly crafted. This man is a craftsman. He's not a writer. He's a craftsman. Word construction, it's brilliant. What he says, I disagree with a lot of, but I want to read you this one paragraph. And this, I just came out of my chair, and I was relaxed. I was out on the deck. I was in a lawn chair, listening to the waves crash into the beach. And when I'm in that position, it takes a lot to get me out of that chair. Usually the bathroom's about the only thing that can do it. And I tell you, when I read this, bam, I popped up like I own mini version of the space shuttle. There is no magic in personnel changes, writes R.W. Johnny Apple. Getting rid of John H. Sununu, George Bush's rough-edged chief of staff, may have tamped down controversies in the White House, but it did not save Mr. Bush's presidency, whose problems lay in the currents of history, the tides of economics, and the character of the man in the Oval Office. Character? They dare now all of a sudden question the character of the man in the Oval Office, and whose character is it that they are beginning to question? Bush's. While ignoring the character of the current occupant. No, in fact, we can't do that. We must look at just the issue.
Well, you nailed it all along, Rush. You said character doesn't matter, and apparently it didn't to many of the voters.
And the wolves.
And the wolves.
The press.
Right.
And so, all of a sudden, here's Bush brought down by his character, which may be in the sense that the broken promise on taxes and never increasing them caused such a defection among people who supported him. It may well be, but to exempt the current occupant from this story, that the character of the man in the White House may have nothing. You know, this is another good thing that I hadn't thought of. There's a battle now between Steffi and Gergen, if this is not really a demotion. Now, Paul Begala, partner to Carville, in the paper today, he's all confused about the way the press is dealing with this. How in the world can you say this only in Washington, D.C., does going from dealing with the press every day to dealing with the president every day, only is that in Washington called a demotion? That's what's happened to Stephanopoulos. Deals with the press every day. Now he's going to deal with the president every day. That, they think, is a promotion. Anybody think that? Or is Stephanopoulos gone? I don't know. Kicked up, huh? We'll see. As I say, my friends, pay no attention to the words. Examine only the deeds, the changes, if any, the actions, those things that are proposed, those things that happen, those things the president fights for. Those are the things to examine. Back with me in a moment.
To the EIB Network.
Okay, folks, Father's Day is coming up real soon, and you know I've got the perfect gift idea. Why don't you get your dad a copy of, or a subscription actually, to my monthly newsletter, the Limbaugh Letter? You know how many dads would probably love to have one of these subscriptions? Look at what happened in the pursuit of one subscription. Thousands of people showed up in Fort Collins, Colorado. You don't have to go to Fort Collins, Colorado to get a subscription to Limbaugh Letter. All you have to do is make a phone call. 800-457-4141. You get 1 year, 12 issues, only $29.95. And there's an added bonus. If you order now, your subscription will include Lies, which is a report exposing the daily falsehoods of the Clinton administration, and it's free. It's thrown in free. It took us about 5 minutes to put together. That's all. Call now, 800-457-4141 for the Limbaugh Letter. Get in on it.
This is a bungee jumper. He's about to jump off the cliff with only a band of rubber to protect him from instant death on the rocky beach below. He leaps off the precipice. The rubber stretches to the limit, and he will live to jump again. But take another look. That bungee cord is no ordinary band of rubber.
Hi, I love to bungee jump, but whether I'm doing something dangerous like jumping off a cliff or jumping into a strange bed, I always depend on the strongest, most reliable rubber products available. That's why I always use bungee condoms.
Bungee condoms, made of pure 4-ply industrial-grade rubber for safety and durability. And this patented inner tread means bungee condoms hug the surface to prevent dangerous slips and slides.
And no matter what size you buy, it always has extra large stamped right on the side. I like that.
Bungee condoms now available in the handy 18-pack Kennedy Saturday Night Special. Pick up your free bungee sampler pack at a high school near you. Bungee condoms.
Because whether it's love or bungee jumping, when you fall hard, you want to be able to bounce back ready to go.
1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy. Take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slow...
To Albany on the Rush Limbaugh program. This is Peter. Hello, sir.
Hello, Rush.
Hi.
And drove 3 hours to your show last November. Enjoyed every minute.
Thank you very much.
Wanted to talk with you for a second about the BTU tax of Clinton.
Yeah.
The more I haven't studied the tax in all its gory detail, but it seems to me this is sort of a miniature VAT tax, you know, the value-added tax, whereby it's sort of a hidden tax. Everybody pays. It's on a plastic item.
Yeah, you're right. It's a tax where every level of activity is taxed. However, the tax is only levied one time. Do you know where that would be?